All right, it's still a Good Morning Anambra show, and we'd like to welcome you to another segment of our discussion right now. And in commemoration of World Tuberculosis Day, we're here to raise, which is aimed at raising awareness about the devastating health, social, and economic consequences of tuberculosis. In the studio this morning, we want to talk about tuberculosis, what it is, what causes it, the signs and symptoms, and of course, what the government is doing to really help and see that tuberculosis becomes a thing of the past in the society. In the studio this morning, we have Dr. Ifeanyichukwu Okolie, who is the Control Officer for TB and Leprosy Brule, Ministry of Health here in Oka. Doctor, we're glad to have you in the studio.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. And we also have Dr. Chukwuemeka Amuta. Dr. Chukwuemeka Amuta is the Senior Technical Officer, Prevention cum Treatment, Family Health International, FHI. You're welcome to the studio,
Thank
Doctor.
you for having me.
All right.
You're welcome.
All right, we are still here with my crew. Let's quickly begin with you, Dr. Ifeanyichukwu. What actually is tuberculosis?
Okay, tuberculosis is a disease, an infectious disease, airborne, and it's caused by a germ known as Mycobacterium tuberculosis. It is about the second most infectious disease in the world, which affects about 10 million people in a year. And you get it by breathing in uninfected air, especially when you're in a poor ventilated area with somebody infected by the bacilli.
In other words, it's contagious.
Yes, because it is airborne.
Because it is airborne, it's contagious.
Does it have any age barrier? That is the particular age that you have this?
No. It affects everybody. The child, the adolescent, the youth, the adult, and the elderly. But the disease itself, the bacteria itself can be in your system for a long time without degenerating to the disease. The difference between the infection and the disease, that the infection, you have the bacteria in your system, but the disease is when you start manifesting symptoms and signs of tuberculosis. So, but in people who have poor immunity or suffer from a kind of illness, or people who take cigarettes and cancer, HIV patients, and children that their immunity has not grown, or elderly who are poorly fed that their immunity is low, the germ manifests as a disease quicker than a healthier person.
Quicker, like how many months?
Not in months. Not in months. It's not calculated that way. It depends on the load of bacilli you have in your system and your state of immunity at any particular time.
Okay, now Dr. Amuta. Okay, sorry, you want to ask?
Yeah, I wanted to ask Dr. Amuta. Okay. How do you now, since it's airborne, you could enter a public bus or stay in a public place like this, you wouldn't know that somebody is having tuberculosis. How do you know that the next person to you is having tuberculosis, and then you'll be able to take care of yourself?
Okay, thank you for your question. The truth is that you cannot know, because some of the cardinal features that we look out for in the hospital is finding out if someone has had cough for a period longer than 2 weeks. All right. So we are in an environment that is not particularly dust-free. So people do tend to cough, in the dusty period seasons. They also tend to have some respiratory symptoms when the weather changes, from the dry to the rainy season. So you cannot tell just by being in a bus. The fact is that even in this period of the World TB Day, we are trying to sensitize all hospitals to try to roll out the FAST strategy, and that involves fast-tracking and ensuring that all persons who present to hospitals with a cough of longer than 2 weeks, possibly weight loss, you're not trying to lose weight, but you're losing weight, and you're having night sweats. Night sweats mean, it's a hot weather, but you have these drenching night sweats when others don't.
Okay, we're looking at the symptoms now.
Yes, so you can't tell that from a bus, being in a bus. You have to, the person has to get to the hospital and is clinically screened. And another key feature that is looked out for is if there's been any history of contact with someone who has TB.
Okay, now there's this myth, that surrounds tuberculosis, that sometimes someone that has a tuberculosis, people would say the person is suffering from HIV/AIDS. I've really heard about that. Is there any way you can let the people know how to differentiate between tuberculosis and someone having HIV/AIDS?
Okay. That you cannot differentiate by mere looking at the person. You have to look at the signs and symptoms. In HIV, unlike in other situations, we test for TB for cough of any duration. But under other conditions, we test for TB when you have cough for 2 weeks or more, as he said. But in HIV, even if the patient starts coughing now, and there is this other aspect of TB and HIV marriage, that TB kills most people who die in HIV when they have HIV infection, close to 40% or thereabout.
Really?
Yes, so TB is the commonest opportunistic infection that kills people living with HIV. And that's why I brought my colleague here, who is a specialist in HIV, to be able to talk briefly about the marriage and how we can combat and try and make that marriage a sweet one.
Oh, no, it can never be sweet. Doctor, that matter. I know that TB has been around. It's an age-long disease with us. HIV just came. So when you are testing if somebody is having tuberculosis, do you test for HIV too?
Yes, it's the practice, and it is good practice to always ensure that those who present at TB clinics, which are also called the DOTS clinics, have HIV screening conducted. And in most healthcare centers, such as those supported by my organization, what we ensure is that a screening point, a testing point is set up right there in the DOTS clinic, so you don't have to go elsewhere for services. Okay, so those services are done right there. And also from the HIV end, recognizing that union.
As the marriage now.
Yeah.
Okay.
We also screen every HIV client at every visit.
Okay, actually, Doctor, you earlier said that TB, that anybody can suffer AIDS. Now, is it hereditary? Can one inherit it?
No. It is not hereditary as in genetic transfer.
Okay.
It is not.
It is
but
not.
The young child who is newly born, if the mother has TB undiagnosed, can easily get it because the immunity
when
is
the
very
child
low.
is already born.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. When the child is born, they can easily and quicker get it because they are closer to their mother, and also their immunity is low.
All right, let's now get down to
the main thing. Today's
okay.
World TB Day. What is the essence and why is it necessary?
Okay, World TB Day.
Then maybe you can align it with the marriage you are speculating. with the.
Okay. Actually, yes. The marriage.
And we're trying to actually stress that this slogan, that's the theme for this year, which says, "Wanted leaders for a TB-free Nigeria."
Yeah, actually, in Nigeria, that is the slogan. But the theme is find and notify all TB cases in Nigeria. That's the theme for Nigeria.
For Nigeria.
Yes. And the slogan is wanted leaders for a TB-free world.
Okay.
But in Nigeria here we call it wanted leaders for a TB-free Nigeria.
Is that possible?
Yes.
What's the
meaning of this slogan is that you and I are respected leaders in our families, our organizations, wherever we are. So whenever we talk about TB, whenever we have TB in mind, once somebody is sick, if you look at a child and see the child is going down, having fever for more than 2 weeks, even after being treated for malaria and typhoid and so on and so forth, and the child is still having fever, losing weight, not playing as they should, refusing food, and not growing like the mates, suspect TB. Or when you see a slight lump on the neck of that child, I'm trying to emphasize on children because it is an area where they are underdiagnosed. TB is underdiagnosed in children. So if you see a lump on the neck of that child, take that child to a nearest dot center where they will invite a lab scientist who will aspirate that lump and find out whether we have TB there.
What do you mean by dot center?
Okay, he mentioned dot center. Dot center is actually a health facility where we give services for TB.
Like in health centers or
yes,
any
health center. Be it primary health care center, general hospital, private health care center, universities. We always have dot areas where they do these services. So from the slogan, you find out that if everybody, especially the leaders in our respective areas, think and talk about TB, we'll be able to get used to it. I tried to do something yesterday. I tried to send this slogan and theme to everybody in my contact. And the response I got was amazing, even from overseas. A Reverend Father in US was calling me this morning because I sent him the slogan. And you see, we're trying to make people realize that this is, even though it was going down before the coming of HIV/AIDS, it was really going down. It was being forgotten. But when HIV came in, with the manifestation of poor immunity in people, you see that
it resurrected.
It resurrects, sort of.
Okay, based on what today is World Tuberculosis Day, what's the program activity like? Aligning with the HIV, yes.
Okay, the activity basically is to ensure that we screen more, we screen everybody who is HIV positive for tuberculosis. HIV and TB, because of that marriage, actually in HIV, TB is the #1 killer. And if you have 100 deaths, in persons who live with HIV, about 25 of them or more are as a result of TB. And that makes it imperative that this is the #1 killer. And on a day like this, we need to really sensitize everyone out there to ensure that they screen for TB in HIV positive persons, and the drugs are there, they are available, and for 6 months, you
they
can't
available,
get
are
cured.
they accessible?
They are accessible.
Free.
They are available, free, and accessible.
That's actually
And
what
the
I
test
wanted
is
to
here.
hear.
It's free. The tests are free too.
Okay, let's just
sorry,
take
let's
this one call because we'll be rounding off. Hello, who is there? Okay, we can't read it. Okay, way of summarizing now because of want of time. Tell the people where they can come because of the activities you have today. Just in a brief statement.
Actually, we are not making it an activity for today or tomorrow alone.
Okay.
As we are trying to explain, World TB Day is a day we celebrate awareness for people to know about TB. We mobilize communities, governments, to be able to be aware of the dangers of disease. But someone once said that to end TB will cost more than the budget we have for TB. Yes, because, as you said, considering the social, economic implication to the people suffering from it, you realize that the cost of TB.
But you're actually going to screen people. That's
yes, we are screening people. What I mean is that we are screening people on a continuous basis. We have about 300.
Okay, let them just know where to come.
300 dot centers all over the state where they can access this screening. Walk into any dot center. Once you have cough 2 weeks or more, once you know you have HIV and you just suddenly start coughing, please walk into the dot center, tell them you need to be tested.
That's
in public hospitals, it is free.
Okay. Even if you don't have HIV.
Even if you don't have HIV, it's 2 weeks or more.
1 second. It's curable.
It is very curable.
All right.
Very,
I think that's the
curable.
much time could allow us to take on this program. We thank you so much, Dr. Ifeanyichukwu Okolie, Control Officer for TB and Leprosy, Brule, Ministry of Health here in Oka. Thank you for coming. And also we thank you, Dr. Chukwuemeka Amuta, Senior Technical Officer, Prevention cum Treatment, Family Health International. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
And from my colleagues?
We say thank you for really enlightening us on this.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
All right, this is how we end today's episode of Good Morning Anambra Show. Thanking you so much, all the people in the house. You're great guys. Let's do it again Monday. Thank God it's Friday. And goodbye for now.